AITA for refusing the pay for dental fees after a kid broke his teeth on a macadamia nut. My friend 39F June brought her 8-year son Steven over to my house today. June and I were just chatting over a cup of tea when there was a scream from the kitchen and we rushed to find that Steven had tried to eat a whole macadamia nut with shell. For context, the nut is a white nut surrounded by the hardest and most smooth chocolate-looking shell you've ever seen. He'd obviously thought it was chocolate and tried to eat in it from a closed Tupperware container on the kitchen island. Was going to cracking them with a hammer later. My friend first admonished Steven for eating something obviously not meant for him and took him to emergency dental, where she later learned he has cracked one of his molars and it was apparently quite bad. Apparently, as it's still his first set of teeth, they will just be pulling it out, but she wants me to pay for at least half as it was my macadamia and it was on the kitchen island and accessible. AITA. NTA, how was this anyway? Shape or form your fault? Her kid tried to eat something that in a closed container that wasn't meant for him, which she acknowledged, and she wasn't watching him. Some friend. It was my macadamia and it was on the kitchen island and accessible. That's absurd. Not the asshole. It was in a sealed container in someone else's house. If you'd handed him the nut and said, "Here ya go, champ. Knock yourself out," things would have been different. But he literally went into somebody else's stuff and hurt himself doing it. Your friend was also there, so it's not like you were the one who should have been supervising the kid. This is on the mom. 100%. Her kid didn't have the manners not to go into your stuff. I would have been in so much trouble if I did what he did. And yes, I knew much better than to do that at 8 years old. That's not too young to be aware of manners and right and wrong. And then to add insult to injury, she tries to get you to share the blame because the consequences are financially inconvenient, which is cheeky as hell. NTA. I'm sure the cost is unexpected for her, but this is entirely her child's fault. Would she hold you liable if he'd tried to eat the kitchen counter? At what point is she responsible for overseeing her child? Thank goodness he's young enough that he would have lost this tooth anyway. It's too bad that there will be an associated cost. But since I wasn't babysitting, I am not responsible and won't be contributing financially. I hope he had a speedy recovery. End of friendship? Maybe. But if so, that's on June. Countersue for the cost of the nut. Macadamias are brutally expensive right now. Your friend is being ridiculous. She let her kid run around your house unsupervised. Didn't teach him manners. 8 isn't too young to know you're not supposed to take stuff that isn't yours or specifically offered to you, regardless of how accessible it is. And now expects you to pay for the consequences? Ask her this. If he had broken a tooth biting into a nut that he stole in a supermarket, would she ask the supermarket to pay for it? Somehow I doubt it. NTA. Your friend is. I hope you show her this post and the answers. NTA. Though they were at your home, a kid is still under his mother's responsibility. The Tupperware was closed. It is enough to say that it was not accessible. The fact that he opened it just shows the kid's bad behavior and the mother's carelessness. Sorry for the kid, but opening boxes in people's home is quite never a good idea. NTA. He ate something from a Tupperware that wasn't offered to him and cracked his own tooth. That's not on you. She failed to supervise her child, who did something he was old enough to know he shouldn't. NTA. NTA. I don't understand how your friend is even wanting you to pay half. If my kid gets hurt at someone else's house because I wasn't watching them properly, they were doing something they weren't supposed to. That's my kids, my fault. Not that homeowners. NTA. Tell her to teach her son not to steal. I think we need to dig further in order to determine who is truly the responsible party. If it were me, I'd sue the farmer where the macadamia nuts were harvested. I wouldn't have her over any longer. If you want to maintain the friendship, meet for coffee or meals out. The fact that she's trying to shift blame is concerning. This is the kind of accident which sometimes happens with kids. If anything, this could be blamed on her for not supervising her kid properly. You're kind not to point that out. She's put you on notice that she will expect payment for accidents she and her kids cause. Combined with her lack of supervision, she's a liability if you have her in your home. And if you go only to her home, lack of reciprocation becomes an issue. Also, don't ever go near a pool or ocean or other hazard with her and her kid. NTA. The kid did something he wasn't supposed to. That's on bad parenting, not you. NTA. The kid essentially stole from you lol. Her asking you to help pay his bills is ridiculous. NTA. It's a parent's responsibility to look after their child. Not everyone else's responsibility to make everything childproof. And 8 years old should be more than old enough to understand that you need to ask permission before taking someone else's food and eating it. NTA, he shouldn't have grabbed it without asking, and the fact his mother blames you is ridiculous. NTA. He's 8 not a toddler that has to have the house arranged for him. And even if he was, he shouldn't be without supervision. At 8 anyone would have just asked, "Can I have one of these?" I'm flabbergasted that she would even ask. Not like you even offered it to him. He robbed you. Thinking face. NTA. On the kitchen island and accessible, is she saying you're supposed to proof your house for an 8-year-old for every possible scenario? The lesson here is for Steven. It is don't take things that don't belong to you without permission. Not, you should have predicted my kid would try and eat your macadamia nuts. Nonsense. NTA. She left her child unsupervised. Her child helped himself to food not offered to him. No friend would be asking for half of his dental costs. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.